David, you are looking at Scotia Bank because Scotia is renewing its global insurance business, and they've appointed a Jamaican to do it, lead the global insurance business, not just Jamaica now. So tell us all about that. What's going on?
So Scotia Bank, not necessarily Jamaica, but Scotia Bank, is a global bank, based out of Toronto, Canada. They have operations in Canada, Bahamas, Mexico, mainly Western Hemisphere. Just know Scotia is a dominant player in this sphere of the world. So they have asset management, wealth management, banking. Those are still their bread and butter. But insurance kind of took, a back seat for the last couple of years. So what do you mean by that? So Scotia would have been, divesting some of its insurance businesses out of the region. As, for example, Grayscale Limited or a Jamaican company would have acquired two Scotia Eastern Caribbean businesses, and that was within the last 2-3 years. The Scotiabank itself in Canada, divested an insurance, taken an associate stake in an insurance company in Thailand, and just around 2018, at the time that Sagicor Financial Company was set to acquire Scotia Life Insurance Jamaica and Scotia Life Trinidad and Tobago, and those didn't play out, but it is to show you that insurance is basically taking a backseat, out the door kind of perspective. So now to see that they're pushing back towards that space of insurance, it does bode well, because the truth of the matter is any financial group that can effectively, optimize and take advantage of bank assurance, they truly get the best of both worlds. So when you hear the word bank assurance, it's combining the opportunities and returns of banking and insurance. So for example, you come to get a mortgage, you go to my general insurance company. You need to get a life insurance product assigned to that mortgage or a particular loan, you go to my life insurance company. And they basically feed hand in hand. So for example, some persons might take out a Scotia loan, or they might take out a credit card. You might have the option to insure some of that balance. That balance, or the premiums you pay in an interim period, go to Scotia Life Insurance. So once you're able to actually capture that kind of synergy, it works out perfectly. So right now, with them appointing Anya to that role of global insurance head, it does kind of speak to them taking insurance a little more seriously compared to the prior years. And this is under a new CEO named Scott Thompson, long-time Scotia board member, who was actually, trying to shift and transform the business again in this 4-pillar strategy. And one of these pillars effectively now is insurance.
Interesting. Very interesting. So Anya is gonna be based out of where now? So she's leaving her Jamaica base. She's gonna be in what, Canada?
Anya has not really been in Jamaica for some time. So to put it into context, from about 2017, when Anya was promoted to her higher international role, she's been based out of Canada for that since that time. So she would have been the managing director of Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago for about 4 years, 2016, and in 2017 she got a promotion. She's really been in Canada all this time, so it's not like she's really going to a different location. It's just that she's going to be having a different focus now. So still going to be based out of Toronto, Canada, but just to a different focus. And Jabbar Singh, who is the head of Scotiabank Colombia, he'll be taking on her responsibilities that were under her prior appointment. So Anya is the head of international banking with respect to Central America, Caribbean, and Uruguay. So that portfolio is going to fall under Jabbar Singh's portfolio right now. And we're seeing a little bit more executive changes heading into Scotiabank's new financial year. And the reason I point out this change, towards focusing more on insurance is, we should remember, Scotia Group Jamaica would have launched its general insurance agency less than 2 years ago, building up further steam, we would have seen Scotia Bank, introduce Solace and under the life insurance product in Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago. So to see, Scotia putting more emphasis on insurance, let us see what other products they're going to bring to market, because while then one of the bigger players like a Sagicor Life here in Jamaica or Guardian Life, which is a similar case in Trinidad and Tobago as well, they still do run a profitable business that does well between pensions and insurance as well. So let us see how that all plays out.
It is an interesting pivot because I don't typically think of Scotia when I think of insurance. I know they offer insurance, but it's not the first thing that comes to mind when I think insurance. Like you mentioned, Sagicor, Guardian Life are the names that may come to mind immediately. When I hear Scotia, I immediately think banking, even though I know they offer other financial services. So why do you think they're making this? I don't want to call it a pivot, but doubling down on that particular sector now?
Different leadership. That's the best way I can assess it, because the previous Scotiabank CEO, Brian Porter, had retired, at the start of last year in February 2023. And it was under his leadership, where they were taking that back step on insurance and divesting their interests, in those insurance businesses. So with Scott Thompson now leading the way, he alongside, other executives like Francisco in Canada as well, that's the CFO of Scotiabank. They're looking more so at opportunities that do present themselves from insurance, because as it currently stands, insurance as a whole only represents about 2% of Scotiabank's overall revenue base across the globe. So it's a very minuscule part of their overall pie. So if they're even good at even 10%, you don't know what else can be spun off or other opportunities can be derived from taking on that greater growth strategy in turn. Because realistically speaking, while it might be a smaller player in the markets where they do have an insurance presence in the interim, the opportunity does arise whereby Scotia could easily look to acquire particular players in other markets or Spanish-speaking markets like Mexico, Colombia, and so forth. Because as it currently stands, the English-speaking Caribbean is the most profitable segment in terms of banking with respect to the Caribbean and Central American region for Scotiabank. DOMREP is a force on its own, about 10% of that segment's revenue and profitability, and you have Central America representing less than 15%. So English-speaking Caribbean still has a very large scope and range for Scotiabank, and this is considering the fact that Scotiabank could have divested several Eastern Caribbean subsidiaries. In 2019, they sold Belize in 2020, and they're trying to sell Guyana. Not sure they might try again, but it's a very different, vision and focus on the Thompson right now. And let us see, how that's translated here in Jamaica, because when Canada sets the tone or direction, Jamaica follows it as well.
Interesting. So for our viewers, guys, take your positions. What do you think the future of the insurance industry is? Do you think this is a good play for Scotia? Insurance costs are going up, underwriting costs are going up. So what do you think? Is Scotia positioned or poised to be the next major global insurance player?
Just
Make your
one point
decision.
one point to that, Kalila. So when you're talking about insurance, there are two distinct segments. So you have general insurance. So if you want to keep it simple, Guardian General, they're a general insurance company. So that's your motor, your property, your fire, your marine, those kind of insurance products. When you talk about life insurance, that's your health insurance, life insurance, annuity products, pension management. So traditionally, and for obvious reasons, life insurance is the more profitable segment of the insurance business. General insurance is a very lucrative space, but can be quite costly. So whichever direction they do take to grow insurance should be interesting, because if it's a case where they're going to grow it in life insurance, that could be very interesting. Because when you think about it, Kalila, life insurance, biggest income earner for Sagicor Life Jamaica. Guardian Life Limited here in Jamaica represents 55% of the overall Guardian Holdings operating profit across the region. So if Scotia does take a focus more toward life insurance, you're definitely going to see a significant bump in overall revenue and profitability. And we shouldn't forget that Sagicor Financial Company, it was acquired a Canadian business called Ivari within the last year. So insurance is still, in particular life insurance, still a very lucrative space for many businesses.
Big money in insurance, guys. Can Scotia take a bigger bite out of that industry?